Hey guys, I got a new challenge for you, so let's knock 3 times and let's get it started. Hey guys, it's Z back with another episode of Observing Freemasonry. Sorry I haven't been around for a while. I was going to make some videos, but I just didn't feel like super passionate about it. But I'm feeling super passionate about this one. My challenge for you today is for you as a Freemason to read the volume of sacred law from cover to cover. For me, it's going to be the Holy Bible, and I'm going to tell you why. Most of us as Freemasons may probably have attended church. We know a lot of the major stories of the Bible. We know some of the smaller stories of the Bible. But do we know all the minor stories of the Bible? Do we not obligate each one of us on this? Don't we kiss this when we take our installation and we say, until my successor shall have been duly elected and installed, and then we kiss the Bible to seal it? Shouldn't we know what's actually contained within these pages? This is what we're told is the center of our lodge, which should also be the center of our life. And can you tell me what it says? Now, many of you can't tell me everything it says, but can you tell me some of what it says? Not just the big stories either. It's actually been a transforming experience for me, to be very honest with you. As son of a preacher man, I did know all those major ones. I knew all the smaller ones. I knew a couple of the minor ones. But I can tell you that until about 3 weeks ago, I couldn't honestly say I've read this cover to cover. And yet, as a Freemason, I've read Wilmhurst, I've read Claudy, I've read Pike, I've read Hall, I've read all of these other guys and spent a tremendous amount of time and money on various books trying to understand Freemasonry. And yet, until 3 weeks ago, I can't say that I've actually read this all the way through. And I'm 44 years old now. I've had plenty of time to do it. Why didn't I? And to be honest with you, I didn't really like reading the Bible. It wasn't set up in a way that I liked. I didn't, I was like, okay, if I had hit all the big stories, and that's what really kind of matters. And to a point, yeah, that's kind of true. Does every single word of every single chapter in this really affect my life? Maybe not now, but it may later. And I can tell you that, when I was doing this Bible study, I was getting up and I was reading it in the morning, day to day, and I just felt so much better about what I was getting ready to face. And I've been talking about some other guys, and I had to plan it that way. I had to commune with God, reading my Bible early in the morning, and I couldn't do it at night. Because I felt like when I would read at night, if you're a reader at night, God love you, man, I can't do that. My mind goes, like, I read the stories and go like, oh, I should have done this differently, or should I have done this differently. When I read this in the morning, and this literally takes me about 10 minutes to read from the day to day, and I'll show you how it's set up in just a moment, then I feel prepared for the day. A lot of people are like, oh, remember that whole thing that says, like, get up every morning and make your bed. At least you got something accomplished. And I hate that thing. But I can tell you that I kind of believe the same thing, but instead of making my bed, I'm reading my Bible. I was going to make some sort of analogy about eternal rest, but whatever. Not going to work right now. This is a Christian Standard Bible. It's day-to-day. It is chronological. For people that are like me, for you guys that are like me, I'm very linear thinking. I go from top left to bottom right when I do music. So I want all of the events to kind of occur at one time. This Bible is great because, as you can see, it's set up so like, hey, here's week, what is that? I can't read it backwards. Week 14, day 7. Here's week 15, day 1. I love this because the little OCD part of me, that says, hey, if I'm reading a Bible and I start mid-year, then the dates in the Bible that I'm reading don't correspond to the parts or the calendar. And so that kind of messes me up a lot. And then I stop reading because for some reason, my brain can't process it or doesn't like to process it that way. So this one is set up that if you bought this, midsummer, you could go through midsummer and you could read it and you wouldn't have to worry about, well, it says that it's supposed to be January 1, but it's August 13th, and it just messes with me too much. The other thing that I love about this, as you know that it's a chronological and day by day, is that when I read, like right here, we have day 3 of week 5, and I just keep flipping my daily reading until I get to new blue right there, and then I'm done reading for the day. If you've ever done a reading plan, you probably have either printed out a paper from the internet or something like that, and you have to kind of flip through the Bible to find it, and then you read against the reading plan, then you find it in the Bible, and it takes a lot of time to do that. This is super convenient for me and my lifestyle because I just flip the next page until I get to the blue heading, and I know it's already going to be in order. I don't have to spend a lot of time through the day. trying to find that new chapter, that new book, and things along those lines. The other thing I love about this is that if you ever read the traditional Bible, which is good for you if you have, I haven't, because one of the reasons I've never read traditional Bible cover to cover was I not only do I like linear events, I have a very hard time switching styles and then trying to remember the styles back and forth. If I'm going to switch styles, I want it right there. What I mean by that is, like, we have all of the historical books, and then we have kind of like the judges and that kind of idea, like a government almost type story. And then we kind of get into, the building of King Solomon's temple and the kings and how, the 12 tribes and split. And then you have like Israel, and then you have Judah and how they're warring. And then we kind of get into the prophets, and then we have the Psalms, and then we have all that. And every book is written in a different manner. And it's hard for me to read that book in a different manner and then try to pick up on what they're alluding to that either had occurred or will occur, and then try to think of it that way. I just prefer to read about the events and then have those smaller events in styles differently. So I have like the historical context one that's like 5 verses long, and then it switches to the part that it's written in like the poetry version, poetry style, and it talks about it there. Makes it a lot easier for me. Rather read by event than by book, if that makes sense to people. Because again, top left to bottom right, very linear temporal thinking helps me out tremendously. So I would highly encourage you that as a Freemason, if you have not undertaken the quest of reading your Bible, but yet you've read all of the major players that have written about Freemasonry esoterica, stop reading them for a few. I'm not saying don't read them. I'm just saying go back to your source material upon which they're writing their books. Form your own opinion off of this source material, and then take a look as to what they have to say, and do your thought process and their thought process correspond? Or perhaps they're giving you a different thought on it, and you go, hey, I never really thought of it that way. Don't be that sheep that's being led to the slaughter, figuratively, by believing what someone else's interpretation is without having developed your own interpretation. There may be some things you just do not agree with in their interpretation. I, for instance, am also, in conjunction with reading my daily Bible, I also follow the Tony Evans Bible commentary. Love this commentary. It's very, very good. As you can see, I've gone through and I've highlighted passages that I thought really were important, that I had a different thought process on, and I agree with them. There are times in this commentary that Tony Evans writes, and I don't necessarily agree with it. Doesn't mean it's wrong, it just means that we have a difference of opinions. And we can have a difference of opinions because I've read the source material. If we take this as the rule and guide of our faith, and it's in the center of our lodge, and it should be the center of our lives, have you read it? You should. It's a fantastic book. It gives us a lot of information, a lot of insight. And there are things in here that you start reading and you go, I already know what it's going to say, because that's an actual quote that I have to say through some of the degrees. It's easy. So super. How many times have you ever started a verse in here and you guys that have read it and said, yeah, I know where that's going. It's good stuff. It really is. Read your Bible or your volume of sacred law. Maybe it's not the Bible. Maybe it's a Quran. Maybe it's just the Torah. Maybe it's, any other book of faith you put in there. Drawing a blank right now as I'm making a video. Read it. We obligate our Masons on this. Shouldn't we know what it says when we obligate them? This is the structure. This is the great book of nature and revelation. You read it? You should. And you should form your own opinions. So until next time, stay fervent. Hey, by the way, you know what the best thing about reading the Bible day to day is I feel I've got it accomplished. And now, because I had a really good time, because I finally found a Bible that I actually enjoyed, I'm going back and reading it a second time and picking up on a lot more stuff than I did the first time. It's kind of like when you watch Star Wars, right? And you don't pick up on everything. You have to watch it the second or third time, and then you pick up on it and you're like, oh, I didn't even see that the first time. That's why it's good to get your first Bible reading done, so then you really go back and you can read the second one. Because you know that when you watch it the second time, that movie, it's not nearly as long, like you're kind of barreling through it. Reading this a second time is quicker for me, and I'm picking more up on it. Read it the second time, then read it the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. See you later, guys.